Okay, this is part 12 of why what Senator Mitch McConnell said is wrong. He says we don't have a taxing problem. We don't tax too little. That's false. Now I was talking about the beneficiaries of the Bush and the Reagan tax cuts, and they went to the top 1%. A big part of it. And we was going to go to this chart right here. Next. And it says up here at the top, what is wrong with this picture? And by the way, the source is the Congressional Budget Office. And it's from the year 1993 to 2007. That would be this period right here. Now, this line going up here is the increased income of the top 1%. It's the same line as this line over here, except it's for a shorter period. Now you see, what is wrong with this picture here is that this other line here is their effective tax rate. It goes up temporarily because Bill Clinton raised the top rate from income tax rate from 31 to 39.6. Now it goes down here. See where it goes down here? Now I'm going to explain what that means in just a minute. But what is wrong with this picture is that as your income goes up, you should pay a higher percentage tax rate. That's fair. But here, their income went up and they paid a lower tax rate. That's not fair. Now I'm going to go to this chart down here. Now all these charts, subcharts, are different facets of how the tax code affects income and wealth. This chart here is by the Center on Budget Policies and Priorities. These two lines going across here is the effective tax rate. This top one here are families with an income of 1 million or more, the red one. The bottom one here is the effective tax rate of the top 400 families. Now you can see here, both their taxes went up because Clinton here raised taxes. The income tax rate here, he added increased the top rate to 39.6. Then it goes down. This goes down here, it's the same. What's the reason? You see the date right there is 1997. What happened in 1997? Well, Republicans control both houses of Congress. And what do they do when they control both houses? They lower taxes on the wealthy. They increase the estate tax exemption here. That's a tax cut on the wealthy. And that was called the Taxpayers Relief Act of 1997. And that lowered the capital gains tax here from 28 to 20. Now why would that affect the tax rate here of millionaires and billionaires so much? Well, a big part of their income is from capital gains. At the bottom line here, representing billionaires, their taxes, effective tax rate is lower because a bigger percentage of their income is from capital gains. Now something else happened here with this reduction from 28 to 20. The period for holding stocks was reduced, or period for capital gain reductions was reduced from 18 months to 12. That means that more capital gains qualify for these lower rates. And the same thing happened back here when Reagan was in office. Does the very same thing. This reduction here from 28 to 20, he reduced the holding period to qualify for the lower capital gains tax from 12 to 6 months. Now, both of these instances are used to claim when you lower the capital gains tax, it increases tax revenues. But they didn't tell you in both these cases they shortened the holding period. And the reason why there was more capital gains revenues here from this tax cut is because the investors took their profits here on capital gains prior to Reagan raising the tax from 20 back to 28. Now, and over here, you see they lowered the tax rate here to capture a bull market that was in progress since 1992. And they could pay a lower tax on the capital gains. They were smart. Now there were some side effects, other side effects to these reductions in capital gains here and dividends. You can see here the tax here on millionaires and billionaires goes down some more because over here George Bush reduces the tax on capital gains from 20 to 15 and from dividends from 35 to 15. Now you know this was the 201 tax cut here and the extension for 2 years here when Republicans controlled both houses of Congress. And he sold those tax cuts to voters as what he said. Let me see if I can find it here. We are helping workers who need more take-home pay. That's what he said. And he said, we are helping seniors who rely on dividends. Well, let me tell you something. The Alliance of Retired Americans said the vast majority would see little or nothing. He misrepresented these tax cuts on dividends and capital gains by claiming they helped workers. But here's the truth. This is by the Tax Policy Center here. They said these tax cuts can confer more than $30 billion on the nation's 257 millionaires in 2004 alone. Now, there were some side effects. We're talking about side effects now. And to these tax cuts. And I'm going to go to this chart right here. If I can find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Well, it's too small to see, so I made a larger copy here. It's the type of executive compensation in banking. It's from 1992 to 2008. Now that's this period that we're talking about here. Here's 92, 98, Bush. All these black bars going across here represent salary. You can see that they remain fairly constant. There's not much of an increase. See up here, the black bar salary. But there's a huge spike here in stock options given to corporate executives. And what's that cause from? Well, that happened when the Republicans here lowered the tax on capital gains from 28 to 20. Now, why would they issue corporate executives a whole bunch of stock options? Well, because on salary, they would pay 39.6% here, but on capital gains, only 20%, half as much. Now, there was a second increase here, or a spike in these green bars. See, this the stock option spike here started here in 1997 when they lowered the capital gains tax. But there's now another spike in these green bars. What do they represent? Restricted stocks. Those are stock options, no, stock awards given to executives. And what is the date? It's 2003. When Bush lowered the tax here on capital gains from 20 to 15, and capital gains from 35 to 15. Now, we have here a five-fold augmentation of income of corporate executives. Number one, the reduction here in the capital gains tax from 28 all the way down here to 15. Number two, we have the reduction here of the capital gain tax from 35 to 15. Now the third augmentation of corporate executives' compensation, there is a spike here in stock options. Now the fourth augmentation here of income of executives, a spike in restricted stock awards to capture these lower taxes on capital gains and dividends here. Now the reason why this is Bush misrepresented these tax cuts to voters because he said these tax cuts here would help workers take home more pay. Well, that was false. They did get some benefit. But I'm going to go to this chart up here. This is the percent of income from capital gains and dividends for the year 2006. Now, George Bush is president here. Now, he said that these tax cuts here on dividends and income would help workers. That's a distortion. Because, he said it would help seniors that need more dividends, relying on dividends. Well, look at here at the chart here. Can you see this bar right here? It's not even visible. That represents the bottom 80% of households or taxpayers. How much of their income did they get from capital gains and dividends? Less than 1%. It's 0.7%. But Bush sold these tax cuts on dividends and capital gains as helping workers. They got less than 1% here at the bottom, 20. But up here at the top, the 1% got 38.2% of their income is from capital gains and dividends. See why their taxes go down here? Now the top 1% here, no, 1/10 of 1%, 51.9% of their income is from capital gains and dividends. So this was a huge tax cut on the very wealthy here during 2 wars when they had these huge deficits. And Bush sold it to the voters by saying it was for the benefit of workers and the seniors that needed income, relied on dividends. Now, where was I? Okay. First of all, I want to go to we're speaking here about the four augmentations